Yes, we can hear you.
We can hear you. Fantastic. The first time in a long time it's worked. First time. 60% of the time it works every time. How is everyone? Welcome to Watercooler. We'll be starting in a couple of minutes. Um, we have lots of familiar faces, some new faces as well, which is fantastic. Just for those of you who are joining for the first time, how watercoolers work nowadays. Define quick with the name and topic. Is We will start off by just giving some announcements. I don't think there are any this week, which is great. So we'll move straight on to the roadmap, which looks at what Lightpeer is building, who is building it, and whether they're doing it on time. And so I've got a little update on how on a new process that has been put forward by Ben and elaborated on a bit more. And we'll talk through how you can get involved with affecting the future of Lightpit, which is exciting. And then we'll have our name and topic. So name and topic is, as you can see here, you'll see people putting forward their name and then a topic that they want to discuss. This usually is about 5 minutes to present the topic, and we do try and keep it to 5 minutes. We try and avoid people rambling for too long. And then afterwards, there will be we say 5 minutes of discussion, but really, if it's a key discussion, then we can go for as long as everyone wants. What is important is that even though there will be some structured name and topics, it's also important that if you have any name and topic that any topic that relates to the LiveHit project, please do feel comfortable to put it forward. You can put forward in the chat, and we'll bring you up on stage, and we can get going. So yeah, I think we have quite a busy watercolor today. So yeah, it could go past the hour, just for everyone to know. And we have 21 people in the audience, which is fantastic. People still coming in. Great. We'll wait one more minute. Also, might see some name and topics from Define, from Steph, from Peter, Dane. I think there are a number of others, so just a reminder to get it in, and then Ben will keep me honest and make sure that we get through everyone in the time that we have. Cool. Well, then let's get started. And yeah, there's no major announcements this week from the Lightpeer Foundation. We are heads down and shipping as an ecosystem, which is fantastic. The one thing that I would like to give a slightly longer, well, a very quick presentation on is the Lightpeer roadmap and the evolution of the Lightpeer roadmap. And I'm going to just quickly share my screen. I'm also experimenting with Notion presentations, so let's see how this goes. Can everyone see my screen? Someone give me a quick thumbs up. Yes. Okay. Awesome. So yeah, very, very quickly, I'm going to run through an update to the Lightpeer roadmap. For those of you who have been following along, the roadmap has three different sections. One is looking at suggestions for what the community can be building. The other is looking at resources. How do we allocate capital and talent to the most high value initiatives? And then the final one is execution. How do we make sure that everyone is shipping and shipping on time from a milestone and what they say they're going to ship? So this is looking at that first stage, which is how ideas get from the Discord, from everyone's heads, out validated to the community, and then when it is validated, to add it to the roadmap and to do so as efficiently and effectively as possible. There we go. So yeah, a guide for community members on how you can suggest ideas to be added to the roadmap. So as I think Ben did a post last week or 2 weeks ago, and the high level, for those of you who don't know, the Lightpeer roadmap is the ecosystem shared commitment to what gets shipped net. It's not a wish list, and it should be really community driven with how it's created. And the foundation's role is to try and facilitate this process, not gatekeep it. Something that I will put hand on heart and say we haven't been good enough at over the last couple of months, and something that I hope we can improve on with this update. It's also worth saying that the roadmap is a living commitment, right? It should be a living, breathing entity. It should be added to. It should be taken away if something or items should be taken away if they're not valuable to the community, and everything on it should be owned, funded, and moving, or it is removed. So where does this come from? Well, for those of you who've been around a while, we learned a lot from the advisory board process. It's overall was a success in giving the Lightpeer project some direction, but I think it's safe to say that it was a bit too slow in the process. It was too bureaucratic. The coordination costs. Oh, it's cropped out some stuff. Yeah, it was too slow in terms of obviously the speed at which software is built, the speed at which things go to market, have completely increased by tenfold. The first $1 billion company, but by one person is just around the corner, and we have to be able to move fast as an ecosystem. The second thing is that it was too bureaucratic. There was too many coordination costs between 6 or 7 people per advisory board. We had the 4 different advisory boards: the network growth, governance, and capital markets, and there was coordination costs between them. It was also too centralized, i.e. a handful of people came up with the ideas and what decided what we should be building. So we learned a lot from it, but we realized that there needed to be some improvements. And we realized we needed a faster, community-driven approach to building an ever-evolving roadmap with shorter feedback loops. And the first part of this process is really to get right what we are building. With software, the cost of building software tending to zero, deciding what is actually so much more critical than deciding how and with who. And this process of deciding what to build next really starts with identifying high impact suggestions from the community. Now, suggestions are this new way the community can participate in Livepeer's direction. It's where community members can have the most direct influence by ultimately being in the Discord, being out in the market, and understanding where there's a potential opportunity, and thinking, what does this problem solve that we could go after? Why does this matter to the Lightpeer ecosystem as a whole? And what could success potentially look like? And these suggestions can be very lightweight, as we'll come to see. It doesn't need to be super thought through. Why? Because part of the process, the facilitation process, is to eke out a lot of the real value by getting other brains involved in the suggestion building process. So the aim is to turn a raw ecosystem idea into a sharp, validated roadmap item ready to be resourced. And the trigger, as I said, can be any sort of new idea or challenge surfaced by a Livepeer contributor. And the outcome is that we want to make sure that we're promoting these suggestions, scoping these suggestions into something which is really clearly scoped hypothesis opportunity that can then be added to the roadmap. So this is a very basic sketch of what a suggestion could look like and the path that it goes on. So the first step is initially scoping the suggestion. And this is something which we've had a couple of practice goes this week where I've had one-on-one calls with people within the community, and they've been able to talk through the suggestions or the idea that they have and scope it into something which is at the highest level answering those three questions of what is the problem, why does it matter, and what could success look like. The second thing, as we'll see today, is presenting these suggestions at the water cooler. Now, what's important is that step two is the suggestion is not complete, right? This is just an initial idea, something which can spark discussion, to actually go to step three, where the foundation, whether that's most likely myself, but anyone else within the foundation, will facilitate a session of 30 minutes, an hour, where 3 to 5 community members can actually give feedback on a given suggestion, so that when by the next time there's a water cooler, or if it takes a bit longer, maybe it's not 3 days but 10 days, there can be a community vote on the suggestion whether actually this is something which should be added. Now, what we're looking for here is not a big on-chain vote. It is purely like we're still deciding the exact mechanism, but it will probably be upvoting individual community items, which we can potentially do natively from Discord. We're still working that solution out. But that makes it much easier for community members to get involved, either in creating an idea or giving feedback sentiment on which ideas, which suggestions should be built. Obviously, if it then passes, it can be promoted to the roadmap. If it doesn't pass, it can be feedback's captured, and you can always revise and resubmit if there is some iteration there. What happens after this suggestion stage? Well, then it moves into the roadmap, and we look at having some to allocating resources, thinking of, is this an SPE? Should this be funded by an SPE through an RFP, as an example? And who is leading this? This is something that's important, that even if you have a suggestion, it doesn't mean that you have to lead this initiative within the ecosystem. And then once that's been decided, it will then go through to execution, and this is where you're obviously shipping and trying to measure the impact. We'll come back to these stages in the next couple of weeks, but for now, I really want us just to focus on getting some new ideas, getting some new suggestions within the ecosystem, and we'll start by hearing some today. So, some guiding principles, and this is again thinking for the future. We can iterate on these as a community. I really welcome feedback. So first things first, I think one thing that as I said, speed of building software has gone infinitely quicker, and it now comes really about showing impact, not just showing the product, right? So we really should be thinking of, how can I show impact? How can I show that I've shipped? And then thinking about funding and rewards, really going where there's evidence of impact is strongest, right? We can talk this through, and actually one of the first suggestions are linked to this. But I think it's really important we get in this mindset of let's build with impact in mind, and then let's think about having funding. Obviously, it depends on the size of the suggestion, but definitely for smaller suggestions, it's there. Secondly, ownership. So really having high agency, high ownership over individual suggestions and then roadmap items. Thirdly, thinking of smaller bets and faster learnings with what we do. Fourthly, building in public. We've already been doing this a lot, and thanks to the work of my dad and several others to really bring this to the surface. And then fifth, really thinking of this as a living commitment, right? It's really needs high ownership, funding, and things moving forward, or obviously then removing it and going back to the drawing board. So you can get involved in two key ways. If you have an idea or a challenge to present, what I would ask is please do reach out to me over the next week. You don't have to. You can. You can just create an account and submit it directly. But obviously, in these early stages, we do want to just make sure that everyone's getting the feel of it. So my DMs are very much open over the next week to reach out. And then if you want to help scope an idea, what you'll see in a minute is that after each of these roadmap items, these suggestions are are put forward. There'll also be a moment there'll also be a session where you can potentially partake if selected in that feedback, right? So let's say I put forward a suggestion that I want to discuss. I will then try and set up a facilitate, or let's say Ben puts forward a suggestion. I will then, in 3 or 4 days, run a facilitated session which will work with Ben and 3 to 5 community members to try and scope the suggestion in more detail. So, finally, there are some suggestions that we're going to discuss during today. And we're going to give it a little try. I will want feedback on this as we go along. Yeah, I know Steph's put one forward, Peter, myself, and Ben. So we'll be hearing some during the name and topic. That is pretty much it. I realise there's a lot there, and are there any immediate questions? If there are, maybe can you write them in the chat so we can keep moving forward? But would love to hear what everyone is, whether that resonates, and we can also have a discussion and name and topic if there are more questions. Cool. So that's on the suggestion side, and as I said, we have 4 that we're going to discuss today. I'll now hand over to Ben, if you are around. Yeah, there we go. Who's going to talk through any upcoming proposals, which I think there is one.
Yeah, can everyone hear me? Okay, hopefully.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, awesome, cool. Yeah, just the one, which is the public pipelines proposal from the Embody team. They've done a lot of work going back and forth on this proposal around Weave. So yeah, I'll leave it to Define and Dane to pick up on that later in the call, because I think they're moving closer to putting that up for a vote. But just the one at the moment, and then obviously, yeah, the new suggestions is hopefully going to be identifying other opportunities going forward. Merdad, over to you.
Thank you very much. On the roadmap side and the progress, I'm just going to share the milestones from NAP and Cloud. Both teams are working, moving forward, making progress towards their milestones. So Cloud milestone 2 is going to be done by the end of this month, and for the NAP, it's going to be around 10th of April. That's the update from my side.
Awesome. Yeah, check out the 2 repos there that my dad just posted. Fantastic. Define, I know you were first on the draw, but I'm going to come to Adam and Steph just from a timing perspective, as they have a hard stop. So forgive me for you in a second. Steph and Adam, do you want to kick off with your suggestion that you're putting forward?
Yeah, absolutely. And sorry to jump the line, George. We'll be quick, promise. Hi guys, Steph. I've met a few of you. I've been working with the foundation on coming up with our through line on narrative so we can reinvigorate our external presence, whether you call that brand or marketing. I'm working on bringing that sort of back online in a meaningful way. As part of that work, my co-conspirator up here, Adam, has vibe coded a really just immediately feel so much better skin for the website so that we have at least a little vision of like, okay, this is what this world could look like as an entry point. And our hope is to I'm going to pass it over to Adam so we can just quickly go through what the vibe coded site looks like. But the hope is that this can just give us that little breath of fresh air, and we have this more sort of cleaner canvas to work from as we make these ongoing changes to the surface areas that represent live peer, because I think, as we all feel, they're not currently capturing what live peer is today. So we just want to immediately solve that. And yeah, I've been chatting with a few folks, but I'm certainly available to I want to meet with as many of you as possible, and hear what stories are not being told in live peer, so we can get those stories out. But Adam, I'm gonna pass it over to you if you wanted to give a little preview of the Vibe Coded website. And then similarly, Rich, let me know if I've jumped the gun on any process side here.
Sounds great. Go for it, Adam.
Thanks, Steph. All right. Yeah, so hey everyone, my name's Adam, longtime live peer contributor, also an orchestrator. So yeah, just building on top of what Steph said, uh, we we recognize the website is out of date. It falls short of professional standards, and also the embedded primer still only tells the transcoding story, which for a long time the primer was an entry point, a really valuable entry point for a lot of uh, supply side, but also demand side participants. So yeah, we feel like the website is failing to communicate what live here actually is today, which is a real-time AI video infrastructure network, and sort of leaving developers and partners without a credible entry point that reflects the project's direction and also ambition. So yeah, we feel like every day that the current website stays up, we feel it sort of undermines trust with developers that are evaluating the network. And so we feel it's a really important moment in time, especially with the AI video market forming. We feel it's really important that first impressions with the right builders start to compound now. So yeah, I'm going to share the staging URL with this vibe coded site, and just state really quickly what success looks like for us. Developers landing on this refresh site should understand within 60 seconds what Live Here is today, which is a real-time AI video infrastructure network, who it's for, and yeah, what it is and what you can build with it. And then the primer should function as a sort of standalone, shareable explainer covering the full scope of the Live Pure project. So yeah, I'll share my screen. All right.
Ben's also dropped it in the chat as well if you want a firsthand experience.
Yeah,
Okay,
Adam,
great. Yeah,
maybe try and keep it to like a minute or minute and a half.
okay, I'll keep it really short. So yeah, the hero states really clearly, Lifer is an open infrastructure for real-time AI video. We have an early access form for developers who want to get on the wait list and try out this API that the engineering team is building out at the moment, which we're all really excited for. And then right below the fold, we answer the question a developer is going to ask first, which is, what can I actually build with this? So that's things like AI generated worlds, real-time video analysis, um, avatars, that the full range of what the network could support. And then below that, we have what Live Here aspires to be at its core, which is a really simple and easy to use developer experience. So step one, create an API key. Step two, pick your model or models. Step three, send streams into the network. And then step four, ship with confidence. So you get, published SLAs and you can monitor your performance and all that. So yeah, I'll keep it concise. There's some other pages here you can take a look at and browse. The primer is also hosted on this staging URL with the new narrative. Again, we're going to be iterating on this. The primer, for example, still over indexes on the supply side and could go more into detail on what the demand side looks like today. But Yeah, so hopefully that gives you a good idea. I just want to say that I hope this is something the community can rally around. I think for a long time we haven't had a sort of credible front door that reflects the quality of work being done, or really the ambition of where Live Here is headed. So I think this is hopefully a step towards that, and something we can all feel proud to share, and that excites the next wave of builders and community members. So yeah, I'll pause there and hand it back to you, Rich.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Adam, Steph. Yeah, I mean, Adam just came and shared this with me about 3 weeks ago. What do you think of this? So a massive shout out to you, Adam, and Steph's been doing some awesome work on the narrative front. So, yeah, really, really exciting. We said ship it exactly. Um, Rather than give a load of feedback now, if anyone has any pressing questions, feel free to ask now. While they're being written or spoken, we also what the next step is to try and get a feedback session on the suggestion for later this week, and that will be facilitated by me working with Steph to get feedback from the community. So I've just posted a little poll. Feel free just to signal interest or not. There we go. Any questions for Adam and Steph immediately?
I'm very around too, so feel free to send me a friend request in DM. But also, yeah, gonna very much looking forward to the full-on feedback session later this week.
Awesome. Fantastic. Any other questions? Any questions for Steph and Adam? I think overall show of support, which is great. But we do want to have this feedback session. So currently, no one has voted on that poll. So please do vote on giving it. Do a tick if you want to take part, and obviously just do an X if you have actually got better things to do with your life. And then I've seen that people have seen it. Awesome. Then let's move forward. I think next on the list was embody, define. Dane, do you want to give a quick update?
Hey everybody, I'm Dane, and I've got a quick update. I'll try to keep it short and simple, and then maybe once I'm finished Define can get into the real meat and potatoes of what we're building. Is it cool if I share my screen, Rich? Do you care?
Go for it. I think you should have access to it.
Sweet.
Yeah, define. We can't hear you if you are speaking.
So with Embody, we've run into a lot of developmental issues and struggles, not necessarily issues, but struggles that we've had to overcome. And we've found that there's probably better ways to do things. And I think that 2D live avatars are like super scalable because you can just run them in a Docker container, and they're super lightweight because they're only 2D meshes. And we can do some interesting things with that scalability. So I have two topics essentially. One is the live 2D avatars, and the other is automating Unreal Engine processes and workflows. So what I've got on my screen here is the live 2D characters on the left side and my Visual Studio Code screen on the other side. And what we're going to do is I'm going to run the demo for the Unreal Engine automation, and we're going to, while Haru talks here, we're going to watch Unreal Engine be automated, and we're going to generate a new metahuman and then as soon as we're done generating the metahuman, it's going to package for Linux and Windows, and you'll be able to see all of this get done through the command line interface. So I'll go ahead and start that prompt, and then I'll tell Haru what to say.
Hi, I'm Haru. I'm a live 2D avatar running in a browser, powered by a local language model and 11 Labs text-to-speech, with real-time lip sync driven by actual audio waveforms. I'm lightweight, I'm containerized, and I can run on any GPU in the live peer network. A developer can deploy me, or any avatar like me, to a live peer orchestrator with a single command. Just a web renderer, an API server, and a TTS service, all packaged in Docker containers that join the same network the orchestrators already run. Weave is the system that makes this scalable. It compresses months of integration work into hours, handles deployment, updates, scaling, and session management automatically, and does this with a human in the loop at every stage so nothing ships without approval. The opportunity here is realistic. AI agents need bodies. Language models are powerful, but they're invisible. Give them a face, a voice, and expressions, and suddenly the interaction feels natural. That's what Embody delivers to the live peer ecosystem. New fee-generating workloads for orchestrators, lower barriers for developers, and a distribution channel that actually reaches consumers. This isn't speculative research. I'm standing here talking to you. The code is open source. The containers are built. The lip sync works. All we need is the network to run on and some early adopters.
So yeah, that's basically the 2D avatars. They have a input, so you can tell them what to say with the script. Excuse me, sorry. And they also have, they're hooked up to a local LLM, and they run Kokoro locally, and they can also connect to 11 Labs. So it'd be super easy for people to stream them and not have to manage the additional, pipelines. They could just make an API call and get a stream input into their website, or agents can utilize these as a service and embody themselves for whatever they're providing, whatever service they're providing to other agents or real people, whatever the case may be. And yeah, we'll continue adding more of the characters. Um, right now, there's like 4 of them. So we've got Aru, Hiyori, and these are just the default characters that Live 2D sort of comes with. We still got to do some work on the back end side of things to use Comfy UI to generate 2D characters, and then figure out a way to sort of separate each character based on what we're trying to do. So like if we want to have lip sync, like we have to have a frame with the lips totally closed, a frame with the lips totally open, a frame with the lips being pressed for certain letters and things like that. So yeah, and as you can see, Unreal Engine over here is assembling the metahuman as we speak. I've just been pretty much clicking enter in the command line, and it's been, going through the process. It'll finish this assembling the metahuman. Right now, what it's doing is it's rigging the mesh of the metahuman to the metahuman skeleton, which has like over 800 bones. So it takes like 5 to 10 minutes for this whole process to finish end to end. So Hopefully in about like another 3 or 4 minutes, it'll be done assembling the metahuman. It'll package it for Linux, and then it'll deliver it to a directory of my choice. Eventually, we'll have some sort of solution that uploads it to the cloud, and then that way we can have agents go and grab that build and do what it needs to do to get it to the orchestrators.
Awesome. Super, super exciting and a new direction, but one which I think definitely there are clear go-to-market geographies for it, and that's already been commented on. We have had a couple of questions or comments in the chat. Um, Ben's asked if someone wants to embody their OpenClaw, what do they actually need to do?
So as of right now, you can just what I've been doing to test the Unreal VTubers, and these will probably be in the same pipeline, is I just call the api.embody.zone, I believe, and it automatically gives me a pixel streaming session in my front end, and we'll probably just replace that pixel streaming uh, with either a live stream where the controls aren't necessarily sent upstream and downstream through WebRTC. We'll probably do a different protocol, but yeah, just we'll be controlling live streams with API calls basically and hooks that sort of hook into the build that's running on the live peer network. So people will be able to send commands from the front ends to the live 2D environment and drive the lip sync with the text to speech, whether it be through 11 Labs or Cook.
Awesome. Any other questions for Dane and Define, who is furiously typing in the chat?
Yeah, we've also been working a little bit. It's not ready for presenting or anything yet, but I've been working with Three.js as well, and we'll probably do the same thing with Three.js and also serve those, because why not?
Awesome. Medad, here we go. Have you made any changes to the SkillMD? I haven't had the chance to play with it more to work around the browser socket issue.
Yeah, so there is an issue where the connection is made through WebSocket, and I'm not 100% positive on this. This is more like Define's area of expertise, but what I think is happening is since WebRTC is served on HTTP, we're making an HTTP connection, so HTML5 or web pages aren't able to serve uh, or to embed web sockets. We need a web socket secure, so maybe if Define wants to pick up on that. I'm more of a 2D and 3D animation specialist guy.
Define, are you with us, mate? Take that as a no. Alrighty. Dane, do you wanna speak to the on-chain proposal? I think DeFi mentioned that it was going live today. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's correct. I can talk a little bit about it. My end of things, obviously, you guys saw what we're getting started with the live 2D avatars and doing the Unreal Engine. Oh,
Yeah,
there he is.
there it is. Fantastic. DeFi, we were just asking about the on-chain proposal and it going live.
Yeah,
today.
I can first reply to the questions about the skill.md. So
Yeah, go for
currently,
it. Maybe very, very quickly would be.
yes, so we're working on this. It lacked TLS, we added TLS on the edges. Now the edge is working, but from my test today, I'm looking at a reduced time to response on the avatar, so maybe we will scrap out the edges. We originally put them because the orchestrators didn't want their IPs to be visible to the edge consumer, which uh, required for us like to more complicate the architecture than what we expected. So I'm finishing these tests in about an hour, and we will decide how exactly it will be structured, but it's gonna be up like really soon. And I can give the update regarding the proposal. I want to. Uh, can I screen share, Ritz? Why I'm not able to screen share?
Um,
Now I can. Yeah, perfect.
okay, great. Yeah, again, very quickly, just to keep things moving. Go for it.
Yep. Can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So we put our pre-proposal. We have done 5 versions of it so far, and so we hope that you guys have everything that you provided feedback on fulfilled, and there are no further problems. Rick provided so much feedback along with Marco, with Authority Null, with Reeds, with Tag, everyone. Thank you so much for your feedback. And so this is the last version, and we explained the problem really well. Like in terms of supply and demand, you have way less demand seekers and demand creators, aka workload facilitators and consumer, than you have uh, compute providers. And we explain why this is happening. Exactly, we dissect the problem part by part, and then we proceed to present our solution, which essentially has two parts. The first part is an agentic orchestration tool, which is called Weave, which allows people to go from intent to workload creation and workload distribution. You can uh, workload distribution to consumers. You can read more about this in the URL. I will send it again on Discord. And the second part of the solution is actually the perpetual economic incentives, which were also bundled in this proposal. And for the first time, they create a canonized way in the library ecosystem to allow workload facilitators and consumers to be incentivized perpetually through perpetual hackathons with LPT emission packets, which accumulate and become bigger over time. And we think that this solves the problem holistically. So please, you still have some time before we put it in the on-chain, so that you can provide your feedback. Please, if you have anything to say, now it's the time. And a last addition that we did was we also added Daydream and Scope into our Weave tool. So Weave is gonna be for Daydream and Scope workloads, for embodied workloads, including the workloads that the new embodied avatar workloads that you just saw Dane presenting, and for generalized workloads beyond that. We have added a multisig with two foundation members, one orchestrator tiebreaker, and two embodied members. And we have also added retroactive funding. So this is everything on the proposal. Please check it out. We hope that it is up to your standards. We try to create a proposal that we would be really willing to vote on. And we really think that retroactive funding, especially, and multi-sig with different community members, it's definitely the way forward.
Awesome. I'm gonna cut you off at that moment. I think on behalf of everyone, like the amount of versions that you've put forward and the amount of feedback that you've listened to has been absolutely awesome. I know this has been a long time coming on the proposal front, and yet really excited to see this go to vote finally. And yeah, maybe by this time next week we'll have that decision. Any final questions? Maybe I'm just conscious of time. Bang them in the chat, and then we can move forward.
Virus asks a very important question. So, Virus, we're doing this in parallel. The only reason that it wasn't put out with some data as well is that the skill.md full update wasn't done yet for the reasons that we explained at the very beginning of my session in this water cooler. What I can tell you is that for the first time ever, like all these months that we are developing, we had almost zero developer interest because it was just too hard to give the API to people to at the same time orchestrate with the orchestrators, like allow them to enter the pipeline, service them. And now, for the first time, we had more than 3 people just trying the skill.md and just getting feedback from them, even if the first iteration didn't work too well. Like it's way easier for people to use. And so, by every logic and by every intuition we have, and the short experience we have dealing with people who use the skill.md, this is working. We don't have concrete data yet. We can put the skill.md along with a dashboard where you can see the sessions while the proposal is out, and then you can take your decisions depending on that data.
Okay. Thank you very much, Define. Thank you very much, Dane. Exciting to see the updates, and yeah, exciting to see the proposal going live. Awesome. Next up, I think we have Peter. Are you with us? Quick mic check.
Hello. Hello,
Yeah.
yes, I'm here. How's it going, Rich? Good
Awesome.
to be here. So my name's Peter. I've been running the interpreter orchestrator for about the last 5 years, as well as working as an individual contributor and later lead on the AI SPE. I'm going to share my screen right now, if that's okay. Let's see if I can make this work. All right. Let's see. Where we go. Can you guys see that? Hopefully my presentation and not something else.
Yeah, we can see it.
Okay, fantastic. Well, so what I'm here to do is propose a small experiment testing kind of a bit of a early hypothesis or early stages of a hypothesis that was actually batted around about a year ago, maybe a little bit less in the AI SPE last summer. Kind of leveraging some of the tools that we've built, and now that there's a lot more of that actually functional, much more stable and capable. I feel it's a time we can move forward. There are a bunch of integrations and places this could go, but this is a very tightly scoped proposal, just demonstrating and validating and testing, running multiple pipelines on a single GPU, single orchestrator, single container to increase revenue for orchestrators. And the problem right now is that typically you really only host one pipeline. Like most of the time, you have one large, VRAM consuming container to serve one pipeline on one GPU, and so that unfortunately, well, it doesn't effectively means one GPU ends up serving one pipeline type, and so orchestrators have to kind of specialize and manually change over to launching and downloading different containers to handle different workloads as they become under more demand. So with ComfyStream, with the data channels and multimodal support, meaning we could do any number of inputs and outputs, whether it be just text or data in and text out, hosting an LLM, capable, possible as a ComfyStream node, as weird as that sounds, since it was originally a graphics tool. Or we could do text to speech, hosting some of these pretty awesome new models that I think even surpass 11 Labs. But dynamically switching between these workloads as demand on the networks change. So that would allow an orchestrator to serve multiple pipelines and ultimately generate more revenue because of being able to host more pipelines per GPU. So the experiment I'm proposing, well, did I get that? Okay, maybe I got my slides out of order here. But, right, so I think I talked about that. The experiment's Comfy Meme, as I'm calling it right now, which is effectively using Giphy, their API, to provide suggested maybe the top GIF or an animated GIF for some type of meme, and then combine that with a live peer backend ComfyStream hosted AI video remix pipeline returning that stylized meme. And I think that as an experiment and something to put forth in the public and gauge demand and interest and kind of maybe not only just validate the back end, but hopefully bring some attention. Being memes, they have high shareability and potential virability, and could generate some real traffic in the meantime. This would stress test our ComfyStream backend and pipeline on orchestrators and validate the current setup and installation process for orchestrators so we can get people hosting these backends on the network. And really, I think that to validate this idea, we would see ComfyStream quickly and dynamically loading different in the ComfyStream and ComfyUI parlance workflows, which are equivalent to pipelines in this case, and that the switching latency is also acceptable from a user's perspective at a front end, and that it performs reliably across these different requests. So we would want at least a few orchestrators running ComfyStream by the end of this, and at least one public orchestrator generating meaningful fees from, or at least from multiple pipelines. This is kind of an overview of kind of future vision and where this is, ideally leading after this experiment, given we observe success, is the idea of a hosted ComfyStream cloud, where potentially ComfyUI, ComfyUI and ComfyStream creators could build their own workflows and deploy those to the live peer network and potentially really deploy an application, a front end, that allows them to monetize their ComfyUI or ComfyStream creations. And that would, not only bring fees to the network, but enable a whole new class of builders who can deploy their creative works with a fully capable backend, just all through LivePeer. And this includes, as noted here on the right, agent and batch workloads, which I think it would be advantageous, just personally, for orchestrators from a fee standpoint, for, say, the Embody SP to leverage open source text-to-speech models hosted on the LivePeer network. And this solution would allow orchestrators to host both those text-to-speech pipelines and other, like the meme generator pipeline, in the same container, and dynamically changing as workloads, as the amount of work comes in, is changing. So we typically see like an agent perform a number of requests sequentially. So the the startup cost in that case, when switching workflows, pipelines on the ComfyStream backend, would be amortized over that number of requests coming in. But as, say, an avatar stops requesting those, then that same container could start hosting requests from the meme generator. And I guess the most important signal really overall is economic. If one GPU can earn revenue from two different pipelines, I think that's what proves that this architecture matters.
Awesome. Peter, I don't know whether you stopped talking or we can't hear you. Go.
No, I think that was just looking for any feedback there. Obviously, there's the desire to integrate with the network as a platform project, and the payment clearinghouse would enable app builders to monetize their front ends that leverage the live peer backend. Say have some type of subscription or payment method where people are paying 10 cents or 50 cents for a meme generation, and maybe even a meme keyboard, meme remix keyboard, as we have like Giphy keyboard kind of integrations. There's just a lot of ways I think that we can move forward with doing real-time video, or real-time processing, but even if it kind of resembles batch in a way, but batch also kind of brings up ideas of like do things all in a bundle overnight. But this is more like provide ad hoc and dynamic text-to-speech, meme generate, or image transmogrification processes, even language model for decision making for agents, and yeah.
Awesome. I'm gonna post the call for participation in the feedback session. But there's a question here from Chang who says, "How difficult is it to host ComfyStream?" He said there's a number of use cases. Do you want to respond to that?
It's effectively now integrated as a BYOC container. So through that same mechanism that the AISB has been working on for the last 6 months, then I think our dependencies, as long as it's stable right now, I think we're okay, John. But yeah, maintenance would be nice ongoing. If Signal shows that this is a positive route, I mean, I have full belief in it. But effectively, it's I believe all the code dependencies for it are in Go Live here, and we have the ability to run it today.
Yeah,
Most of the
I'd love to
most of
chime in with a little.
integration in the front end. Yeah, please too.
I've got some
Thanks, John.
thoughts to add there. Yeah, so really, like, I think the framework around ComfyStream, like I mentioned, the dependencies, mostly like the setup scripts and how people get into ComfyStream and the UI, like all that stuff's kind of like not as valuable as the core like pipeline and ComfyStream client, right? And then the servers that we built to connect it into the network. That's where you can reuse a lot of stuff. And I actually played around over the holidays with putting ComfyStream inside of Scope as a Scope plugin. Think it's just really a comfy UI hidden switch upgrade. And one of the great things is Comfy UI hidden switch. The newest version supports UV, which I think we never got around to putting that in because it was actually an issue until they bumped up the version. But now they're pretty well up to date with the latest versions, and you can use UV. One of the cool things about UV is that it installs those custom nodes really fast. So we were like spending 30 minutes building containers to test stuff in Comfy last year, and it's much faster. And so when you get to that whole like bring your own Comfy worker, bring your own Comfy workspace, it's a lot more actually feasible, I think, from even a scope perspective. Whereas ComfyStream's just actually like it's a plugin or a pipeline that goes inside a scope. It might help us standardize, the rails or the pipes from, your SDK or gateway to the orchestrator and to by having a common worker. But there's still, I guess, some of that's still up in the air about, direction to go in, but I just wanted to add some context there. I think you could get by a lot better with utilizing scopes dependency management and UI and start and stop, right? And then kind of piggybacking on some of the other work that's going on in the network that's already involved in putting scope on the network and then fit it into that. And then I think the work that needs to be done on capabilities and dynamic capabilities and scaling it, because obviously CompuStream can scale warm load, hot and cold load, but getting the network to reflect that this worker has 100 models you can request, that'll be a really important value add to this project, I think.
Absolutely. I think that kind of needs to be reflected in the scope of either this or a subsequent proposal. It is really what I hated to call it this, but like orchestrate or orchestration. I don't know another way to put it, but we've just overloaded terms here a little bit. But exactly what you're talking about, that obviously, the gateways need to be able to know which orchestrators can handle which different workloads, um, what they can send a particular workload JSON to. Yeah.
And that's a good point. The
John,
modality
I'm just
detection may not transfer over, so it's something to look at.
I don't want to cut off conversation completely. However, this is the exact sort of discussion that we should be having later this week. And John, you've already volunteered yourself to helping Peter, whether you like it or not. I'm going to post something now about just it's not about adding comments to the roadmap. It's just having a sort of it's enabling Peter to really scope out this in more detail. Also conscious of time, and there are a number of other related topics. Peter, just to wrap up, any final things you want to say, mate?
I think that's all I had. Thanks for the time.
Fantastic. I've posted it in there. If you do want to give some feedback to Peter, please just do a little tick, and we'll make sure that you or if depending on the number of people interested, we'll make sure that you're involved. Fantastic. Thanks so much, Peter. Exciting to see the next iteration of CompuStream. Moving forward, who is next? Ben, keep me honest here.
So I think John had some map updates as
John,
well.
take it away, mate. Did you want to do a demo?
Yeah, so I was going to do a quick demo on NAP, but I think the Cloud SP Analytics is down. But I put a lot of work last week into something I'd love to do a quick demonstration on this time. But I'll give an update on NAP. So we've got the overview dashboard built out, so where you can see all the metrics that are coming from the Cloud SP's API. But we're currently limited in some view of like the exact model name of the GPU and some of the demand data and things like that. So I've opened a PR to their repo to try to get that resolved. But there's just been a lot of moving pieces, and it's cross-functional teams at the moment, right? So I talked about maybe getting access to their ClickHouse data, and if we could get that, I can move a little faster independently. But NAP is coming along well, and I've been thinking about its role in the ecosystem. Let me share my screen here. Can everyone see my screen?
Yeah. Awesome.
All right.
Just a heads up, John. If you could try and keep it to 5 minutes, that would
Okay.
be
I'll run this
awesome.
pretty quick.
I'm just a lot onto that.
So as we're looking at Daydream and the need for a payment clearinghouse, I identified that Daydream was using a more simple, like direct OAuth 1.0 flow. And I heard a lot of feedback from the community about this desire to be able to build their own enterprise, their own company, their own developer application website, and then resell the usage that's on the LivePeer network capability. So when I was looking at OAuth 2.0, I did a little research, and I came to realize that agent applications, like if you log into Cursor, you're doing an OIDC login flow, and you're linking the Cursor account to your agent, right? So we need LivePeer to be able to do the same thing, right? If I have an open call, I should be able to like link it to my LivePeer account or something somehow, right? And say, here, go generate images. I need 100 memes, right? So this is kind of the direction I went in with this. OAuth 2.0 allows applications to manage identity independently, and you can scale this across multiple applications. You have one identity server that's the payment clearinghouse. You have applications, and then you have users of those applications. And so there's different billing models and things that can be created on the network rather than a single entity taking all the traffic. The remote signer is obviously an architectural improvement that allows us to stream directly to orchestrators and abstract the payments away. But the remote signer is still a proprietary payment system, right? It's the micropayments of LivePeer. Translating this over to an OAuth compatible API allows agents to begin paying for work on the network. So an example of this OAuth 2.0 ecosystem model, this allows, as I went over earlier, developer onboarding and easier access to the payment clearinghouse, as well as agent and API-based automation. Developers can register their own applications, and users can grant permissions to their agents. You can use text models, but not the other kind of models, something like that. Resource servers, and of course, apps acting on behalf. But most importantly, AI agents use OAuth 2.0 to securely act on behalf of users and within MCP style ecosystems. I think I kind of went over a lot of this, but again, one of the key points here is that agents can behave like OAuth clients, like our SDK, which can be used to build MCP servers, and identity providers can issue scoped access to agents. OAuth is not just a developer tool, it becomes the roadmap and the authorization layer for expanding the ecosystem across more than just Daydream. So Daydream and Scope, these are two different ideas in a sense. So I'll go over a quick demo just to kind of show what this looks like, but think of it as the privy for LivePeer around the payment clearinghouse. Developers can create their own website, issue their own tokens for their own applications that belong to their own users, and our payment clearinghouse is entirely abstract from that, except for the fact that it signs the requests for all the work that's being done, and the payments roll up that way. So introducing paymenthouse.com. This gives you like an app marketplace, a way to create an account with a wallet, and you can see some of the apps that we have here. And so right now this is really basic, but just keep in mind you have the identity of the application as well as the user using the application. Right. So if I sign in, I can see apps that I've created for other people, but I can also access the marketplace. The marketplace is currently open. Anyone can use these apps. They just need to have an account on paymenthouse.com. And so I'm going to run a quick demo of just a moment. This is a very basic UI that just does your simple in and out IO. This is going to stream and authenticate through Payment House to my orchestrator in North Carolina and stream back the results. But the point is that this is running on localhost. This is a really easy way to get integrated. That flow kind of looks a bit like this. So if I go ahead and log out and log in, it would ask me like device auth code. For a website, this would be a little different, but since it was just without requiring all that, it's a totally separate setup. This would be called public authentication. I can authorize my user to this application, which I can now spend my credits on the payment clearinghouse, basically. And once that authorization comes back, it should start the stream. So in conscious of time, I'll go ahead and drop there, but just think of this video thing here as it could be an AI agent. It could be any kind of thing you need to, it could be a video editing app as we're talking about with this batch workloads that Peter wants to build. And I think this is a really great foundation that's going to help propel our ecosystem towards to being able to compete in the market. Happy to take questions.
Awesome. Thanks a lot, John. Yeah, super exciting to see the payment clearinghouse stuff come to life. I think Josh is in the audience as well. So awesome to see. Any questions?
I'm still working through the usage tracking piece, but just wanted to point out that it's free to use currently. Actually, using my remote signer and the ETH behind it right now, but it's still working on getting this off to the whole network. The SDK has a Discover Orchestrators endpoint, and I've deployed that, but I haven't really done a lot of testing outside of NoOp, which my orchestrator is the only one running at the moment. But yeah, we could put Daydream. I mean, Daydream could be a customer of this, or Nap could be a customer of this. It depends on how you want the flow to work. Like a private application would issue its own tokens, which you can do as well. And so you can build your own website, your own login, log out flows, completely brand it, but it's running on live peer for the actual payments and AI.
Question from Define here regarding authentication methods. Which ones are supported?
So both redirect login flows and OIDC with PKCE. So OIDC would be a device authorization flow, and then the other would be like a website type of authorization flow. But secondarily, if you use like the client secret, then you can put that behind an actual web server app and then issue OAuth tokens for your users privately. And at the end of the day, all the requests are still authenticated by the remote signer at the payment clearinghouse, which payment clearinghouse proxies those connections. And so it knows, this JWT comes in for Soldar Labs and Rick's using it. It knows who to charge for what, right? So depending on, whether you do a billing model where developers pay for stuff or the app or users pay for stuff. And there has to be like an app review process because you're really extending an authentication system. So you'll see this with other apps like OpenAI launched this with their Chat GPT apps SDK. So you'll kind of see this where you have to submit your app for approval. In some cases, I think theirs is a little smoother, but think about Facebook and Twitter apps. Those all require app review. So I did add that in there, but I think the thinking is to bring this in and have Daydream be that first customer, or even take this architecture and put it inside a Daydream if there's interest there.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, awesome work, John, Josh, and everyone involved in the payment clearinghouse stuff. I think it would be awesome to see also an updated version of the platform as well, and to see it integrated in. I wonder whether there can be something shared over the next couple of days just to give people an idea of how the platform's coming along. Fantastic, great. Let's move on. I think next up, there's a couple more to go. Ben, do you want to go next? I think you had one that you wanted to put forward.
Yeah, I do. Thank you. I'll keep it pretty quick. So yeah, I put forward a community suggestion, right? Just to focus on the on-chain treasury and I guess some of our norms around it. We've got the treasury reward cut turned back on. We're pushing forward on the pipeline, trying to attract new opportunities. I just want to make sure that we've got like really good clarity on maybe some of the criteria or accountability frameworks and all of that sort of stuff, so that we don't get into reactive debates as new things are like coming into the pipeline, right? So that's the goal. Is we've got the capital turned back on, but maybe no clear criteria for where it should go, and what our expectations are for people that are being approved for projects or SPEs or whatever, as they get into the actual delivery side of things. So I think the scope is like three things. One is some prioritization criteria aligned to the roadmap. Do we want people just turning up and throwing proposals into the forum, or do we want them to participate in sessions on the Watercooler like this, or the community suggestions approach to help frame a really nice proposal? And how does that impact the way that voters or people that are looking at it might be thinking about how well defined this need is. The second is just to get clear on RFP process. We had great success with that with the transformation SPE. Everyone would know the amazing work that the Raid Guild team have done and EC Wireless around the Explorer. They turned up and replied to an RFP. So it is a mechanism that can get us really great results if we use it. And then just thinking about how that works within sort of the on-chain execution constraints that we currently have with the on-chain treasury. And then the last one is, just a little bit more about the transparency and reporting, as I said, post funding, so that everyone is clear that, we have the right controls in place and the ability to drive output against milestones, and don't get stuck holding the bag, basically, for projects that may go off track or under deliver. So this isn't like a foundation project. I want to lead a community project just to get some more clarity or alignment. I think the output from this is just putting forward, what we think some norms are. So there's a little bit more clarity for everyone. And what I'd be looking for if we do the facilitated call this week is, have some active token holders and delegates that can share a bit more about how they think of voting on Treasury proposals. Maybe some people who've run projects, so they can help us identify the support that's needed and what maybe some of the accountability gaps are. And then anyone else that just really cares about making sure that we utilize the Treasury effectively, bringing in good teams to work on stuff, and making sure they're accountable end to end, so we get maximum return on investment. So hopefully people can see, the need for that now. And it would just be great to get some feedback and hopefully some people turning up this week to discuss it with me.
Awesome. Thanks, Ben. Yeah, I mean it's a key topic. If you go back and have a look at the on-chain treasury accumulation, we'll be racing to that 750K figure again. Yeah, I think it's it would be a useful one, and I was going to present a suggestion similar, looking at funding smaller network and engineering initiatives, but I think it does make sense just to combine the two. So, any questions for Ben, who's going to be leading a session on chain treasury allocation improvements? I'm also just going to post a little overview here, and if you would like to take part, then feel free just to give a little tick. But any immediate questions for Ben? To see, Ben, that you were the first person to tick.
I better throw myself into it.
Yeah. Okay, great.
Great. Excited other people are jumping in though. I'm looking forward to it.
Fantastic. Any questions then? Clarifying questions. Okay. Cool. Let's move forward. I think let's. Ali, did you want to do a quick update on the docs? This is from an offline conversation, but
Oh, hey.
yeah,
Can you
fantastic.
hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Take it away.
Cool.
Just
All
yeah,
right.
remind them 5 minutes or so.
5 minutes? You know how much I like to speak then already, Rich, eh?
That's why I've given you the nudge.
So rude. All right. Well, hello everyone. I know it's kind of been a bit of a long wait on some of these docs. I am sharing my screen so you can have a look at the latest preview. Since I've got 5 minutes, I guess some of the main things that have gone into these docs are some automations to make sure things like content stays fresh. Oh, firstly, little layout, but I'm sure if anyone's interested, they probably already had a play around with some of these things. But there's things like automations that pull topics from your forum. So Ben, if you just put that on the forum, that'll probably turn up in the docs tomorrow, and that makes it more discoverable for AI and things like that as well. So it pulls the most recent things. The Watercooler will come up here if it's getting posted to the YouTube as well. these proposals are all pretty fresh, so that comes in. That's one thing. I've also made a big effort on gateways and orchestrators to define terminology that we use across the ecosystem, as well as make sure that the pathways that are presented here and the tutorials and guides are like 0 to hero type things. So for example, the quick start is based on just, setting up a BYSC off-chain gateway because you want it to be quick, the, time to get to your first gateway basically. But then the setup uses Go Live Peer and like takes into consideration video AI and dual kind of setups, as well as on-chain and off-chain setups there because gateways have both. It has full tutorials, so there's a full tutorial walkthrough that also integrates with a orchestrator. And the point of that is there's interactions there. So, and the orchestrator is just a CPU, so on BYSC, so getting around some of those major technical issues with having to set up both if you just want to dev locally and try it out, because there's no testnet on chain. So, trying to get around that, but also then trying to do the kind of hero journey. So hopefully everything you kind of need is covered in some of these other major guides. Orchestrators are a similar thing. Sorry, I've got a bit of lag on my laptop at the moment because I haven't optimized this setup here yet, but the build process is much quicker. So there's some things. There's also I've tried to aim to make this whole repo ownerless basically because I'm not sure who manages it after this other than of course you awesome people. But I've tried to make this as ownerless as possible so it self-repairs, it checks spelling and fixes it, it checks the basics of layouts, it checks some of that stuff and auto repairs itself. There's quite a few actions and things like that that will just, it'll come up with an error and it self-repair or it'll assign it to Copilot. Someone probably will need to check that still, but still, there's kind of these automations that make it maintainable and easy to manage as well. So hopefully, that will help out with this continuing to still be a useful site in future as well. Yeah, I think, does anyone have questions, by the way? I'm still kind of I just pushed some of this new content today, so this is probably all brand new, not seen yet. So I tried to go through some of the business scenarios as well and try and come at it from the point of view of someone outside of the live peer ecosystem, which I kind of was before I wrote this doc. So, trying to give people the lowdown on what this costs and how you earn money and things like that as well. As well as the relationships involved. There's a lot of relationships required for things like gateways in general, like if you want to build a full and define that that's an application layer. Yeah, I think I'm just kind of talking now, so I'll just any questions or feedback, feel free to throw it at me. There's also actually an assistant. I've only got this running in my local server at the moment, so it doesn't really say anything, but we were talking about payment clearinghouses before and they come up now, so there's a whole section on that. Embody avatars, they're here now too, so things like this, all the new content, registries, things like that, they will come up. This bot will hopefully get integrated into the LivePeer Discord soon. I was just testing it out on my kind of server. So this, I also want an integrated bot into this channel that will just open issues as well. So you see something's wrong and you go, that's not right, and just immediately open an issue from Discord, because I know most people are in Discord, and opening an issue on GitHub is a pain in the ass sometimes. So all these things I've tried to think through and make this as maintainable as possible, as future forward as possible, and AI discoverable as possible. So a lot of these pages translate into pages that AI likes to find as well in the background, which you won't see on the front end. So a lot of AI features inbuilt into the repo as well. There's a language translator too. I didn't. It auto translates new pages too, which is cool. It just uses Open Router free, but It will auto translate. If you put a new page in, that pipeline will run and translate into the other languages and put it in as well. So that's kind of cool. This is Spanish. I don't speak Spanish. Maybe someone else does. There's a few issues. The component strings aren't rendering at the moment. Have to fix that. But in general, pretty good. Yeah, I have to put that one in now, John.
Yeah, amazing
So,
work on that. That looks great. I was surprised when you showed me the remote signer that I put up. That's pretty cool. It's just out
yep.
there.
Yep, it's definitely out there. I've tried to incorporate all of these kind of new things that have gone into the ecosystem and that are making it way easier to use for people as well. So they might have seen it before and now, they can kind of understand it, or hopefully holistically understand it, because it can be complicated from an outsider's point of view.
I see you're showing Spanish here. Does it auto translate, or do we have separate copies for different languages or anything?
They are separate copies, but this auto translates. So there's a pipeline. For example, if I commit a new page or a change to a page, this pipeline will automatically be triggered to translate. It uses OpenRouter free LLM
Got it.
model.
Got
So I
it.
don't know how good in the background this is, but I didn't put an API key in because I
Thanks.
wasn't sure if people want to spend money on this. But it works pretty well, and it just auto translates and puts it back in the docs navigation where it belongs. And yeah, you commit a new page in English, you get one in Spanish, French, and Chinese at the moment. These pages, this is just a bit of a demo. I've got them out of the main live site at the moment, so if you're looking for them there, they probably won't be there. I've just got some of these translations of older pages, and I've kept them out just to finish off content first, and then I'll retranslate.
Yeah, I think the
Awesome.
docs are really important parts of the entry point to the network and that surface that we were talking about earlier, the surface level. So this is really great work. And traditionally, a lot of the V1 was just directed towards LivePeer Inc. SDKs and how to
Yep.
start a stream on Studio and that kind of thing. And we got into AI and just kind of put that on top. But I think this is much better organized with the tabs up top.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, look, I hope it's useful. I think like this is a full knowledge base system, and Docs' infrastructure as well. So I really hope it fits the purpose. I've definitely enjoyed making it and learning a lot. There's a whole skill stack in this repo as well. So if you do want to contribute, you can just pick out a skill and it will like write pages in the format that's already here. So it enforces the style guide without you reading it, which is the best way, which is good. So
The
things like
best
that kind of like added extras.
the best way to write documentation is not write documentation.
Pretty
Um,
much.
um, Ali, this is also I realize this has been a real labor of love over the last couple of months, but I feel like it's setting Lipa up for the future as well. Maybe an initial question is like, what's left?
Yep. There's a
What's on
few.
the to-do
Yeah.
list?
So there's most of the content is pretty much set. I'm at the moment going through a bit of merge hell because I should have done PRs better. But anyway, I've been deving on a different branch, so there's some conflicts there. The other main thing I haven't done is probably community and the resource hub, because most sections have their own resources, will mostly be derived by a script from the resource hub on those pages. So that's also not finished. But otherwise, yeah, and community's a bit empty, so I need to finish that one off as well. But otherwise, pretty much all of these other and solutions could use a little bit more effort. There is some in here. And by the way, if you are looking for LivePeer Studio docs, they are still here in this tab. Everything that you need to get started on LivePeer Studio still exists. It has its own kind of anchor tab to not overtake all the other solutions like Daydream that's in here now and Streamplace frameworks. All the new cool applications that are getting built on top of LivePeer. Just LivePeer Studio still has its own docs here in case you're looking for them. Left to do is, yeah, basically community and resources, like I said. And I have to finish merging it through. I'd like to do a final review on most of the pages too, which is the time consuming part usually.
Question from Doug in the chat. This
Yeah,
looks great. What's the gap between what's live on V2 now?
I literally just merged all of the new content from gateways and orchestrators in, which was a big gap on the old content. So that should, as soon as Mintlify propagates that, which can take a while for some reason, that should be on there as well. And then the last gaps will be some of there's a couple of setup guides that aren't quite finished or aren't quite merged in on gateways because I'm reviewing them and making sure they're accurate at the moment on gateways and orchestrators. So that's another bit of a gap. And otherwise, yeah, still community not done, but that hasn't changed from the version you're seeing now as well. But yeah, most of gateways and orchestrators, the important tabs that were probably missing on that live version, you should be able to have a look through them now and find much more information that you're looking for.
And although this work of art will never truly be complete, when
Yeah, that's
when it is when
well,
is a rough timeline?
I was really hoping to get it done today for everyone. Didn't quite work out that way. But yeah, look, I want to get it done in the next couple of days. It's my birthday at the end of the week, so I want to aim to have it done by then so I can celebrate both things.
Which is the biggest celebration?
Yeah, definitely finishing the docs.
Awesome. Well, thanks a lot, Ali. And yeah, maybe next week can be a sort of go and find any bug under the sun week
Yeah,
if it is completed.
exactly. Yeah, so the broken links as well, Doug. Yes, there's actually a full link checker in the scripts as well. I've just had it turned off at the moment because it brings in up too many errors and I was trying to build content. But that's the next part of the debugging mission. That script will run, it'll flag all those, it'll try and autocorrect them. If they're internal pages, it will be able to. If they're external pages, it just flags them. So all of that kind of scripting, checks on grammar even, are in there. Just some of them aren't on right now. So that will auto fix itself. I understand that links are kind of important too.
And controversial topic, is it British or American English?
It's British. It's British. I'm Australian. It's all written in Australian English.
This is
But look, if you want to change that script, all you have to do is point it to American English, and the whole thing will, auto repair itself into Americanized English as well. Sorry,
is
Doug.
this is what happens when an Aussie writes documentation.
Yep.
Awesome. Really looking forward to get this finalized over the next week, hopefully in time for your birthday. And
Yeah.
yeah,
Exactly.
any questions to Ali, just feel free to reach out to her directly, or I'm sure in any conversation. There has been a few spots of redirects not working or whatever. Please do surface them. That's key. Cool. Thanks
Thank
so
you.
much. You can go back to sleep now.
Go to sleep.
Yeah, exactly. Awesome. Thanks so much, Ali. I think that's it with name and topic. Have I missed any, Ben? Keep me honest here.
You've done it, mate. Well done.
It's a long one.
All good.
We've had a long one there.
Yeah.
Awesome. So yeah, before we wrap up with wins of the week, I just wanted to say, yeah, we're trialing this new suggestions way of working with the roadmap. The idea is to try and make it as quick as possible to get to either particularly for smaller proposals rather than write a big SPE proposal, being able to write something up quickly, to get it validated by the community and make sure that you're heading in the right direction, so you don't spend 6 weeks writing a pre-proposal for it not to to get the traction that it deserves or you want it to. So, if you have any suggestions for the roadmap, please do reach out to me, and we can have a chat, or I'll be sharing some stuff tomorrow, which goes into to more detail based on the presentation today. But let's wrap up with some wins of the week. We'll keep it to 2 minutes, and I'm sure there'll be some tired faces. But any wins of the week is just at the end of the water cooler, showing some love to someone else in the ecosystem who you think has done particularly good work, or has made a big impact, or who you just want to give a shout out to share their success. Feel free to drop it in the chat. But anyone on stage want to do a quick win? Medad and Ben, I'm looking to you as.
I'll do one. I want to, if you don't mind, I just want to give a quick shout out to the help from both Define and Elite Coder, or John and George. You guys have been really great sources of knowledge throughout this docs process. So, and I really appreciate you always being willing to help on and explain topics for me. So, thank you.
Awesome, and there's some mutual love back shared by Define in the chat.
Yeah, building on that, huge shout out to Define. I'm looking forward to have a face-to-face conversation with my OpenClaw when that skill MD is fixed.
Maybe I'll go next. A shout out to Adam for coming back. Well, Adam and Steph for already making huge progress on a new website version. Yeah, super excited to see where that gets in another 2 or 3 weeks. So big shout out. I think Adam's dropped, but Steph's still here.
And also a shout out to Josh for the work on Scope and integrating the SDK into Daydream. That's really exciting stuff, and really looking forward to seeing it all come together here.
Alrighty. Well, thanks everyone for tuning in. Yeah, we will be back with you next week. And in the meantime, stay classy, and I think that's pretty much it. Ben, did I miss anything? It's late here. I know it's early for you, so you may not remember, but
Mate, you've killed it. Well done. Yeah, very cool. Thanks, everyone.
fantastic. All right.